Hey everybody, welcome back inside another episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. This is our July compilation video. For people who don't necessarily watch all our videos or are new to the channel, we do these every month. This is for July of 2019, where we sort of run through all of the expected kit releases for the given month. We talk about kit releases 2, 3, 4 months in advance sometimes, and so we do these videos once a month to sort of consolidate everything into one easy to digest, if you will, course of modeling goodness for you. So there are a few things on the domestic side of things as far as scheduled releases. Then you have pretty much everybody else these days, other than round two. Maybe Revell will get back to it at some point in the future, but certainly not right now. Revell, Salvino's JR, and Mobius all sort of operate on a it comes in, we ship it out sort of method of kit releases anymore. So it's kind of hard to sometimes pin down exactly when to expect things from those companies. So we may get some more things out of Revell this month, possibly, depending on when they ship out kits. There was this picture of Ed Sexton at the IPMS convention up by Chicago, and things that have changed in this picture from the pictures that I took at NNL East is the fact that the updated sprint car is now in a box that is shrink wrapped. The 1970 Pontiac Firebird is now in a box that is shrink wrapped, and the reissue of the 1976 Chevrolet Stepside 4x4, which is the 124 scale monogram kit. I believe the last time we've seen this kit in existence was in the the early 1990s, when Monogram was running the sort of blank boxes where it was just a sort of a pale blue background with a model superimposed on top of it. I believe that was the last time. It's that weird truck that has the spare tire carrier like mounted to the pickup tailgate. So confirmation that is what that is. There's a lot of speculations going on that it was a Revell kit. It's a monogram kit. It's Revell kit. It's monogram kit. It's 124 scale. It's the monogram kit. So those three kits may come out this month. They may be coming out next month because there isn't really a necessarily, how should I put this, publicly available release list. Now I can go talk to my guys who have distributor lists from places and tell you, well, the distributor thinks it's going to come in and blah blah blah, but we've all seen that those aren't necessarily very accurate all the time. So planned ship dates and actual ship dates are two completely different things. If round two has taught us nothing in the last 10 years, it is that. So we may get some of those Revell kits, we may not. It depends on what shows up. Salvino's JR, by the time you see this, may have actually already pushed out the Richard Petty Monte Carlo that they're doing. I would also expect this month, more than likely, we will see the Bobby Allison Gatorade Buick Regal that is a straight repop of the old monogram kit with new decals. And then it is possible, although I'm going to guess it's probably going to go into August, that we might see the Kel Yarborough Hardee's Monte Carlo, which again is the same thing. It's the old NASCAR tooling from Monogram that Salvino's picked up through the sale of all of the odds and ends and scratch and dent tooling that Blitz did when they shut down the Oak Grove Village. Remember, recall some of that tooling is now in Atlantis out on Long Island, and of course Atlantis sold the NASCAR stuff to Salvino's. So that will be that as far as it's going to be out there some point. Mobius right now will probably be quiet for a little bit. They're going to go ahead and ride the sales of the 65 and 66 Ford pickup trucks. They just reissued the 70 4x4. So if you've been looking for one of those, they did sell out. Most places did run out of those, and they did do a reissue of them. So they should be back at your favorite hobby shop or vendor of choice. They are going to reissue both of the trailers as well as the Lone Star and the Pro Star over the summertime. So those kits will be coming back out if you for some reason can't find one. They all sold out of Mobius's actual stock that they have on hand. And then you have really, a couple of drag cars that have no real, focused release date or even who or what the liveries would be on them. Things like the Ultra Wheelbase Mercury and the Ultra Wheelbase Mopar. And then you have the, the Chevys, the 64, 65 Chevys, which are more of a theory than an actual thing at this point, because as far as I know, there's been no tooling even started for those. Um, the people at Pegasus did confirm that they do want to do those projects. So whether or not that was peer pressure from hobbyists getting on them for, the rumor going around that they weren't going to do those, or if they had planned to the entire time and they're just, finally now getting things straightened out from the purchase, it remains to be seen. The other kits that we know are coming from Mobius, of course, are the other three pickup truck kits: the style side short bed, the style side long bed, and then a 4x4 version of the 6566 as well. I wouldn't necessarily expect to see any of those until fall, possibly early winter, like the fourth quarter of this year, October, November, December. Uh, they obviously don't want to try to release too many of them too soon. They kind of shot themselves in the foot with that with the original set of Ford pickup trucks, where they released the 71 and the 69, and then very quickly after that the 70 and then the 72 in the span of about 8 months. And then it wound up that neither of the second two really sold all that particularly well, because all of a sudden there were 4 pickup trucks that were effectively, more or less identical to one another, because the short beds all recycle a 6-cylinder, the long beds all recycle a V8. That unless you're really, really into, the little differences between the trucks as far as grills and trim and things like that, you probably weren't necessarily buying all of them. So maybe a little while before the rest of those pickup trucks start seeing the light of day. The things I have seen in the what I consider to be semi-verifiable rumor mill, if you will, things that from people that would know, but can't say like officially, is that it would be probably Q4 for the short bed style side, and then after the first of the year for the style side long bed. I think style side is the appropriate term. That's what I see people call them. The smooth side, the non-step side, whatever you want to call it. So there's that. Now, moving over to round 2, which still does actually release things on a monthly basis. There are 4 kits for the month of July. First up, out of MPC, they are going to be reissuing their 1/8 scale Schwinn Stingray 5-speed bicycle. Yes, it's a bicycle. How many people even realize that MPC made bicycle kits? Probably not too many, because this kit was originally done in 1970 and has never been reissued. So for a lot of us, we have never actually even seen one of these in person. This kit came out 7 years before I was born, and by the time I got into modeling, it clearly was not on the shelves anymore. It's certainly not something I'm going to, well, certainly. It's not something I'm going to pick up anyway. It certainly makes it sound like I would be indignant about it, but it's just not something that interests me. I know a lot of people of a certain demographic, in the sense of this would have been a bike you had as a kid, will certainly probably go run out and buy one. Of interest in this bicycle kit is they're going to mold it in orange, yellow, and red. And then each master case, so every case of 12, is going to have 4 of each color in it. So there's, 3 colors, 4 by 3 is 12. You're going to have to pay attention to what you're buying if you care about what color it's molded in. More than likely there'll be a sticker on the box, on the shrink wrap or the box itself, since some of those round 2 stickers have been inside the shrink wrap lately, and some of them have been outside. I'm not sure if that was an accident or on purpose. And of course, the bottom of the box is always going to have your parts tree layout, and usually will say all parts other than tires and chrome are molded in blah. So there's that. Now, if you really, really, really care about what color you get it in, and I've had a minor debate about this on one of the forums, because people were like, well, why would I care what color it is? I'm going to paint it anyway. I'm like, well, there's some people that like to do naked builds where they just polish out plastic. Oh, we'll polish plastic, we'll polish plastic. All right, look, I'm not here to defend anybody's build style. I'm just, I know there are people here that do that, and now you're insulting them all for some unknown reason. I was just providing information. I'm sorry, I'll shut up. I'll never tell you anything again. So the reason I'm bringing it up is because online vendors, like Model Roundup and Mega Hobby, things like that, are not taking the pre-orders by color. Now, I don't know if they know that they're in colors or not. This part was just added to the literature this month when the kit was put up for, confirmed July release. So if you're ordering one through one of those, you're going to get whatever they give you, I would imagine, unless they give you the option once they come in, they're like, hey, what color do you want? It'll also be interesting for small hobby shops, people who don't order entire cases of things, as to what they're going to get in terms of that mix of 12. Like if you order 4, or if you order 3, you get 1 each. If you order 6, you get 2 of each. This one you order 5, like do you get 3 orange and 1 red, and then 1 yellow? Like how I'm very interested to see how the distribution companies will handle parsing out something that unless you order it and by a factor of 3, you're going to wind up with 2 or of one thing, or possibly just whatever they grabbed out of the box. So beware. If you're looking for one of those things, that is a situation you might have to watch out for. Over at AMT, they're going to reissue their 1967 Mercury Cyclone Eliminator 2. They're calling it an ultra wheelbase drag car. It looks to me more like a funny car. I've seen people call it a funny car. I don't know which one it is because I really don't care. If you're into drag racing, you probably already know. I've seen a lot of rumblings online that this kit as it's configured isn't even remotely accurate to the real car. However, it is apparently a pretty decent representation of whatever it really is in terms of being a funny car. So know that going in. This kit was released in 1970 and is another kit that has not been reissued since 1970. So this sort of thing is what I think Round 2 does really well in terms of bringing out things from the tooling vault and reissuing them after 40 plus years. I know people aren't necessarily happy that they don't fix things with this, but you have to understand that they're not gonna do that. They're never going to do that. They've backdated a few things here and there, but by and large they have not fixed old problems. So um, it's one of those things that the kvetching about it seems misplaced to me. Like there's so many better things you could do with your time other than complain about the fact that Round 2 didn't fix something that is 49 years old, and you know you ought to know what you're getting when you go into it. I guess it's that old. It's not like nobody's ever built it before. It's not like there's no kit reviews of it. There's not like you can't ask people, hey, what do you think of this kit? Because there's going to be people who built it before. Over for the truck guys at AMT, they're going to reissue the Pete 359 Wrecker. Now, this is not, despite the fact that it uses the original box art, this is not the original kit. I've seen a lot of people who thought for some reason that they were going to get the original release of this, and it is not. It is the same Pete 359 Wrecker that it's been since, I believe, the third reissue through now. So that is the large window cab, that is the whatever suspension it's on, because I believe there's a suspension difference between the original one and the reissues after that. It does, according to this, it has new pad printed Firestone tires. I'm very interested to see what those are. If that's a misprint that those are supposed to be on like the Cyclone or something like that, because I'm not sure what pad printing Firestone you would do for a 1960s, 1970s tow truck. Now I've known guys who like to use tire chalk to make their tires look like NASCAR tires on their big trucks. I have seen this, but I have not actually personally witnessed that actually happening on a work truck back in the day, back when this would have been a new, legitimately new truck, new kit. So yeah, be interested to see if there's actually Firestone pad print tires, how you pad print truck tires, or if those pad printed tires are really in the drag kit and the 359 is otherwise a reissue of itself. And then lastly, from AMT, they are going to be reissuing the Autocar dump truck. So that's something that hasn't been out for a little while. They're saying back by popular demand. I know a lot of people started demanding it once they saw the Autocar on-road tractor was going to be reissued. I don't know necessarily how many people were really, pounding down the doors before that. But it makes sense. They've reissued the Autocar, so might as well do the thing that the Autocar also had, which was the dump truck. Obviously, get a dump bed in there instead of the fifth wheel, and there is a different front end that the dump truck runs with sort of squared off diamond plate fenders compared to the nice round front end that the road tractor has. I see a few people disappointed because they want everything handed to them that they don't. That both sets of fenders aren't going to be in this kit. If you want to swap the fenders out, you need 2 kits. Sorry, just is the way it is. And that takes care of the domestic side of things. Over in the international waters, as it were, you are getting kits and reissues, in some cases new tool kits, from pretty much every manufacturer that is available. Now, not Ebro, but then again, I don't necessarily consider Ebro to be every manufacturer because they only do like 1 kit a year, or 2, or 3, depending on how often their Citroens get reissued. But be that as it may, Aoshima, Fujimi, Hasegawa, Tamiya, also BMX, also Hobby Nunu. So, Hobby Nunu is supposed to be getting us the Audi R8 LM GT3 kit and its photo etch. I have not seen this kit actually show up on any Chinese-based distribution lists yet, which makes me nervous about the idea that it's going to come out this month. That makes me think that it's not even close to being ready. Now, Hobby Search did put up images of the parts runners as run, like all of them. The show, we got like the picture of the body, a picture of the tires, and like one small sprue of parts. They have all of the parts, but from looking at it, the chrome parts aren't chromed and the clear parts aren't polished out yet. So maybe the tooling is done, but it's not finalized yet. Of course, when you injection mold stuff, the chrome parts don't come out of the injection machine chrome. They have to be sent somewhere to be chrome, so that's understandable. But the fact that the glass isn't polished yet means that the molds aren't completely and totally done yet. So maybe it'll still come out this month, but again, I have not seen any indication that it will, because Nunu Hobby always pops up on the Chinese websites because they're in Macau, which is a special administrative region, much like Hong Kong in China. So usually the people in China see these kits first. So be that as it may, we'll see. They've never exactly been particularly good about meeting the release dates, so it won't be shocking if it's late. From BMAX, you get the new tool Mitsubishi Starion, along with its photo etch. Now, the Chinese vendors' websites that I'm looking at show this as an August release and not a July release. I went and I looked at the Aoshima corporate website prior to making this video, and they are still saying July. The possibility exists that this will come out in July because it is a Japanese-centric kit, and therefore it will be released in Japan prior to everywhere else. This is what happened with the Toyota Corona, the 1994 JTCC car. It was scheduled for, I don't even remember when that kit came out at this point, but the month that it was scheduled for in China was actually ended up being like 3 weeks after it was released in Japan. The Mitsubishi Starion is being done as a JTCC car. In doing so, they're doing 2 JTCC liveries for it, so it makes sense that the Japanese market, the Japanese audience, may receive it prior to the rest of the world because it's obviously aimed at their racing heritage rather than everyone else's. So, possibly, we'll see. I'm certainly looking forward to that kit. Fujimi, of course, had a Starion that was a Group A race car in the sense of like all their race cars, which are half-assed race conversions of street cars. So I'm good with a new tool, actual good race car version. Over at Tamiya, 2 kits this month. They are the reissue of the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT GT3 kit. My alarm's going off. Time to go to work. And that is going to be done with the Leon Svestos 2018 Super GT GT300 livery. Also, that kit is going to have new wheels that the Super GT car runs. So there are a few new parts in that, obviously, with a new livery. Decals are by Cartograph. And then you have the reissue of the Lamborghini Countach. That is going to be the clear red version where all of the body parts and other things are molded in red and then appear to have been clear coated at the factory. And from what I've seen, they appear to be clear coated at the factory on the sprues. So you're going to have to take them off the sprues, in addition to having the issues that you would have with a pre-painted kit like an Aoshima kit, where you would have paint, issues in the sense of bumpers and things like that, where you'd have to try to match the paint before you assemble the kit. Now you're going to have the problem where the kit isn't painted necessarily; it's just clear coated. So you have to re-clear coat the parts where the kit comes off the sprue. Obviously, they're not going to sand the body or anything for you, so all the mold lines and everything are going to be underneath the clear coat. I guess it's just one of those things of like, oh, look, we ran this tool and it put it back on the shelves, and we made a couple bucks from people who don't realize that the Tamiya Lamborghini Countach is an old motorized kit, and it's not that good of a Countach kit. I mean, it's pretty accurate body proportion-wise, but that's pretty much all you can say for it. If you want a Countach, go buy the Aoshima one and be done with it. Unless you really, really, really want the Campanello wheels that are in that kit, because they are the only set of Campanellos, of the original, earlier version of the Campanellos, that have the rotary dial protruding rather than being a convex wheel, like the later 5000 Quattrovolts had. So if you want to buy it for the wheels, there's plenty of the old kits on eBay that are going to be way cheaper than buying the new one. But be that as it may, that's coming back out. Over at Hasegawa, 3 reissues in the month of July. They are the next version of the Nissan Skyline R31 Group A JTCC car. This one with the Diesel Kiki sponsorship. They have in the literature now confirmed that it is a 1988 season car rather than a 1987 season car, where the car was only in 2 races. So we'll see what you get as far as decals go with that. Reissue of the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 3 for the Swedish Rally winning car, and then just a spot run of the Honda Civic Ferio, which is the street version of the race car, the 4-door Civic. Over at Fujimi, some reissues of kits and wheels. The kits are probably some kits that people have really, really been wanting if you're into Porsches, and they are the 67 Porsche 911R and the 69 Porsche 911S. Those are the Enthusiast Series kits, and they will be reissued as Enthusiast Series kits. They are being marketed as real sports, but they have sort of decided that they're not using the whole Enthusiast Series name anymore. They've been reissuing all of the Enthusiast Series kits more or less in the real sports line. So they are 250 plus part kits. I've seen a lot of there was a little bit of a debate when these were announced as to what they would be, and the point of order for these kits is the fact that there have never been curbside versions of either one of those 2 kits, and Fujimi is certainly not going to, in 2019, for some kits that were tooled in like 1987, going to suddenly create curbside versions of them. These are going to be reissues of the original kits, and they are the 2 Porsche kits that so far, other than the 356s, that have not been reissued. So they're good to see those come back. They were probably the 2 most expensive Porsche Enthusiast Series kits out there in the secondary market, only because the 356s have had a couple of spot runs here and there, where the 911s have not, at least not in their regular version. There was like a race version and a rally version, I believe, of those, and those got later releases, but just the regular street kits have not seen a reissue in 17 years at this point. And then you get a reissue of their 18-inch Oz Racing Futura wheels and a 14-inch set of their Volk Mesh wheels, which again appear to, if I'm not mistaken, it might be the next month wheels. Yep, never mind. The Volk Mesh wheels are just Volk Mesh wheels in a small size. So that takes us over to Aoshima. There are a few reissues, reboxes, modified releases, and this is going to be all of their Shizuoka Hobby Show stuff that was all being released in July. Now, we'll say that at least for a month, the taxis are going to be delayed. The little Toyota NTP10 Japanese taxis, those are pushed back to August at least. So those are not going to come out this month. And then the rest of the July releases, and these all have box art done for them, so they're coming for sure, are the Watoro Akiyami AE86 Levin, part of the initial D series. A few new pieces tooled up for that. The Liberty Walk, Liberty Work, what they're calling the Chorosuka Works Skyline. So this is a 1968 Skyline, 1968-ish Skyline. It has new front end parts, new rear end parts, I believe a new exhaust, new over fenders, and things like that. It's another addition to the Liberty Walk line of those vintage kits. Reissue of the Toyota Crown. This is going to be a 2016 model, done as the Tokyo Police. So this is going to have some new police parts, because the police parts in 2016 are no longer compatible with the existing parts that Aoshima tooled up, back in the mid 2000s. They've been using since. So for some new police parts, I believe there are new wheels in this to give you your base wheels from the Toyota Crown, because the athlete in the Crown Royal that they did a couple years ago, that updated to the 2016 model year, that has the upmarket luxury and sport rims, neither of which the actual base model Crown that they use as a police car in Japan use. So I believe there's new wheels with that. Of course, new livery for the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Traffic Enforcement. So that's coming. And then lastly is a reissue of the 1990 Toyota Estima. This kit has a whole bunch of new stuff tooled up for it. A whole new front bumper, front grille, rear bumper, I think there's some new interior pieces with this. Aoshima tooled up in like 1993 or 1994 a Toyota Estima, but they tooled up uh, some various sort of luxury and sport versions that were the ones that then got used in the VIP van series. None of them were factory stock Estima, though. They all had different front end and rear end treatments, different wheel treatments. This has like factory stock rims tooled up for it. There is probably a good 25, 30 pieces tooled up for this to backdate it, if you will, to a factory stock Estima. So it's very interesting to see that. I really, really wish we could have gotten left-hand drive for it, because the Estima is what came here in the United States as the Toyota Previa, that really big jelly bean of a minivan. It would have been very, very cool to build one of the Previa. I really don't have any real desire to get the Estima. I have a couple of Estimas already, and I don't really feel that I need another one. But it's certainly a very cool piece in the sense of them going back and tooling it factory stock after all these years. Aoshima and some of the other Japanese manufacturers certainly are the kings and queens, as it were, of really maximizing their tooling. Hey, we're going to take this tooling that is, in effect 25, 26 years old, and we're going to, throw a couple $1,000s at it and make it into a completely different kit that it's never been before. So, very interesting there. And then everything else I'm going to tell you here, these are all just restocks. They're just spot runs to, basically fill the warehouses back up again. So you get the Liberty Walk, Liberty Work, Hakasuka Skyline, the Liberty Walk, Liberty Work, Nissan Laurel, the Liberty Walk, Liberty Work, Ken and Mary Skyline, the Liberty Walk, Liberty Works R35, Nissan's GTR version 1, reissue of the 2014 Nissan GTR Pure Edition. That is the right-hand drive Japanese version. But if you buy any of the Liberty Walk R35s, you get a left-hand drive dash and interior with those. So if you don't necessarily want to use them in the Liberty Walk kit, you have a whole free interior floating around that you could put into that and make a North American spec 2014 GTR out of it. Reissued the 1985 Toyota AE86 Truno GT Apex. Reissued the Nissan Skyline Super Silhouette, and reissue of the 1994 Toyota Hilux Quad Cab, reissue of the 1971 Nissan GTR, reissue of the 1973 Volkswagen Beetle 1303S, avoid at all costs, reissue of the 2000 Toyota Mark II, reissue of the 83 Nissan Skyline 2000 Turbo RS, and that is the one that was just done that has the Aero package on it that is molded to it, reissue of the RASD S13 Silvia, reissue of the C West Lancer Evo 10, reissue of the Lamborghini Countach, just the regular LP700, and a reissue of the Lamborghini Murcielago RSV 2010. So this is the first time in a little while. Now, I got a bunch of spot runs after it was done. It was in stock pretty much all the time. But this is the first honest-to-God reissue that the RSV Murcielago has gotten. The RSV Murcielago is this kit right here, the race car. Now, it's not going to have the liveries. You can't see them; they're too far up out of camera. It was done with two Fiat GT1 liveries, the Blancpain Ryder Engineering 2010 car that won the 24 Hours of Spa that year, and then they did another one for the 2011 Zolder race that the All Inkle team from Germany won. And then they did a release of it that was blank, that had no decals in it, which is, of course, like I said, that kit right here that has no decals. It's just a silver car on the box. The sort of downside of that kit, I mean, it's a nice kit, goes together pretty well from what I understand, is the fact that the aftermarket decals that exist for the RSV are not all for the RSV. The Racing Decals 43, 2010 or 2011 24 Hours of Le Mans car fits that car. There is one set of Studio 27 decals that fits that car. Then there are 4 or 5 other liveries the Studio 27 did for the RGT, which is the previous body style of the Murcielago by like a year or two, that don't fit that car because, well, I mean, they fit the car because it's a Murcielago, but it doesn't fit the car accurately because it is not the correct car. The RGT has a completely different front-end treatment to it that looks nothing like the kit that we got there. That kit, and the fact that it really didn't sell, is sort of what killed off the racing series that they had planned for Lamborghini kits at Aoshima, which is a real shame, because the most logical place to get a Huracan GT3 kit would be out of Aoshima, since they have the licensing and they've done a Huracan and all the rest of that stuff. I don't know if there's anything that could be done in the sense of, overwhelming Aoshima with pleas and begging and whining that they do something about that. They certainly got stung by the fact that that kit didn't sell, which is like one of those things where it's something you did to yourself, because the existing market was not for that car. It was for the one that was a little bit before that. I think you could have, with a new bumper, I don't know, it might have required a new top half of the body cavity, and that would have really been prohibitively expensive. But, I think that's something you could have done as an RGT and then an RSV if you wanted to do them both. There have been certain cars that get released, and if you pay attention to race cars in general, they get released that there's just never any aftermarket support for, and I don't necessarily understand why that is. They did the Diablo GTR, and that kit, which is this orange one right here, was a single make race series, and then the car sort of filtered out from there. There's a very, very famous version of that car that has the Donut King livery that raced in like Australian touring. I can't understand why anyone has not done those decals. I don't understand why no one did any decals for the single make race series. I mean, yeah, okay, it's a single make race series. It's not wildly popular outside of Italy, but still, people, there's a certain, if you build it, build it, people come thing. Like, you can't expect, oh, well, those decals won't sell. Have you released any? Well, no. Then how do you know they won't? Like, the race car exists and you did nothing for it. A lot of these BMAX kits, I mean, the Cruise got a bunch of aftermarket decals for it. Pretty much every livery it ran for this body style, the 2010, 2011, 2012. But like the M3 has just never really gotten a whole lot of love. It's unless you talk about Frankie at SK. There's never really been any additional liveries done for the 318i Hasegawa BMWs. Like, you have the decals that came with it. There was an initial flurry of some Macau decals that were done, but a lot of the decals that exist for this kit require a different front lip, rear spoiler, and side skirts that a couple companies have done out of China very, very poorly. I don't understand why Hasegawa, when they keep reissuing this kit, won't just tool up what amounts to 5 pieces. It's like maybe 10 grand on the outside to fix that kit and make it so it represents something other than a 1993 and early 1994 season car. That car ran as a 318 and then as a 320 until the almost 2000s, until the E46 BMWs came along. It ran in JTCC, it ran in Macau, it ran in STW, which was the thing that replaced DTM in Germany. There's a lot of potential for that, for what is a minimal investment, especially after you paid all the money to retool the suspension to make the car the right ride height. I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. So anyway, guys, I got off on a tangent there. I apologize. But that is the expected releases for this month, and hopefully you've seen a few things there that you're going to pick up. I personally have the Leon Svestos AMG on order. I know you guys are shocked by that. I have the Starion on order. I have the Audi on order. Again, totally shocked. You guys are taking heart medication because you're just so surprised. And then I have the Taxis on order, but they're not coming out this month. And then I have the Diesel Kiki R31 on order, which again, I'm sure completely and totally baffles you as to why I would buy more race cars. But that's pretty much it. I'm not sure if I want the Autocar dump truck or not. I really haven't I haven't built any of the truck kits I have. So I go like back and forth on truck kits. It's like, oh, I want all of the truck kits, and it's like, you don't build any of them. Why would they take up so much space? The boxes are so big. But the Autocar dump truck's still one of those sort of like cool things. I'm pretty sure there's a local trucking company that's like 3/4 of a mile behind my house down another road out here in the country. And I'm pretty sure as a kid they had more than one Autocar tandem dump truck. They had some 5 axles and things like that, but I'm pretty sure that they had one of those or more than one of those. Now they're gone. There's no way to go back there and be like, hey, you have that one that you saved. I want some pictures of it, kind of thing. But I'm pretty sure they use some. Like there's part of me as like a 9-year-old kid at the end of my driveway doing the air horn thing, which into my driveway now is my grandparents' driveway back then, but doing the air horn thing, two autocar dump trucks going by. So it's a nostalgia thing, if nothing else. The tow truck, take it or leave it. I really don't need a big rig tow truck, I don't think. So that, guys, like I said, wraps it up. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys on the other side.